I genuinely think the whole "you don't owe anyone anything" is a lot bigger than just a Gen Z thing, which is how it's been described online. Along with the blank Gen Z stare, this whole sentiment of not owing anything has been attributed to young people not participating in social niceties and even being profoundly antisocial and lonely. Discussing generational traits always runs the risk of overgeneralizing, but it feels especially unfair to put the onus on young people here because things are undeniably bleak right now. It almost feels like a natural defense mechanism for everyone to things feeling more hostile than ever, for every moment of our lives being able to be tracked and logged, to be able to be contacted on multiple platforms at all times of day, to be called cringe or performative or too online or not online enough. This overcorrection of putting up walls and boundaries, protecting our peace, staying in our own lane, while they can certainly feel empowering and independent, comes with its own baggage that I think is inextricably tied to capitalism and monetization. Friendships, for example, have been put under new levels of scrutiny where asking friends for favors that you could pay someone to do can be seen as a burden on the friendship. This gets even more complicated when this kind of monetization extends to social and emotional support, both in direct and indirect ways. Directly, it could look like wanting to avoid trauma dumping on a friend, so outsourcing that to a paid professional instead, which sometimes is totally necessary, but sometimes it might not be. Indirectly, the pressures of cost of living and the lack of third places outside of home and work that aren't too expensive can really restrict how we can show up for our friends. Even at home, it feels like there's these increased boundaries and rules around guests in shared living spaces that can make things really tricky. Then there's gender norms. The way that men and women have historically navigated emotional relationships in very different ways can also lead to wildly different responses to modern societal pressures, which could then have implications on the male loneliness epidemic and the growing ideological gap between young men and women. Of course, plenty of people still find ways to connect and socialize, but there are broader factors behind this whole young people are so antisocial sentiment. Maybe we can shift the onus away from young people and more towards the systems that create this behavior, and take a second to think more critically than just the knee-jerk reaction. And if you like this kind of breakdown and discussion of internet culture, then please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us here.